Well, this morning we're doing something a little bit different. We're fishing very shallow edges in this estuary system, and we're using surface or just subsurface lures. It's a really fun way of fishing, and the lure I'm going to be fishing hard with this morning is called a bender. This is the one from Berkley, and if you look at that, it looks like the lure's broken. It's bent like a banana, but these guys, you know, they wriggle under the water and they pop to the top and wriggle. They've got a really strange swimming action that drives fish wild. So the other one I've got here is this guy here. He's more of a prawny sort of colour, and the fish eat these for a prawn or a bait fish. Brown with black stripes, looks just like a prawn. And then you got this guy here, the yellow with the pink head, and for some reason this one drives fish wild on many occasions. So I'll probably chop and change between the two, okay? But the great thing about this style of lure is you can literally fish it in this much water. You get to fish a lure in areas that are often too hard to fish with any other diving style lure. So heaps of fun to be had there. I've got two outfits. Both of them are very light in that 1 to 3 kilo range because we want to make long casts, super light leader, just running 4-pound fluorocarbon. But on my other rod, I've got a little diver. That's a little cranker just there. And as you can see, that's in a real prawny sort of pattern, that black eye and those stripes. He looks just like a prawn. And when I find a bit more open water, or we might move out into some deeper water, this is the sort of guy I'll cast around as well, and he'll plow down. You're wanting to just touch the bottom and kick up some sand. And this is a really good way to find yourself everything from brim to flathead, estuary perch, yellowfin whiting when you get up into New South Wales and Queensland. It's heaps of fun. This wind's going to get up, and that's not a bad thing, because when these fish get in on the edges and the wind's up, they're not as cautious. So bit of cloud, bit of wind, everything's in our favour. Now it's just up to me. So let's get to it. We're just going to sneak along this bank here, casting it every little nook and cranny that we can see. Great thing with this stuff too, these days when you're buying lures like this, they come with the good hooks on them. Okay, they've got owner trebles. It's a well-made lure. You know when you hook that big fish, you're going to get him, but it's so important doing this stuff that you have lures that have got really sharp hooks, because while some fish climb all over the lure and smash it, sometimes they literally just nip at the back, and it's those short bites that you need to get, and super sharp sticky hooks make all the difference. You can tie this straight on. They come with a little tiny snap on the front, which is what I'm using here, so I can chop and change as I need. Check the drag, because I'm only running 4-pound leader. We don't want too much drag, but we want enough to be able to set the hook. Let's get into it. So when you're using this style of lure, these benders, you really want to have a light tipped rod, because you just want to give it little tiny shakes, like that. And just missed another one. Little tiny shakes to get that lure to swim properly. I think it's a tailor. No, my luck, it'll be a tailor. Oh, it's a brim. How's that? I saw that fish boil there. Literally made about a 5-metre cast and just sat there tweaking it, not really moving the lure very far. And he just came up and walloped it. Not a big fish, but anyway. There we go. There we go. Just a small black brim, but there's heaps bigger fish in here. So hopefully it's just a matter of plucking our way through them until we find some bigger models. And a lot of people think of a brim being a species that just, you know, eats worms and shell and all that sort of stuff, but they are just super predators. And you can see there, fairly decent sized lure for a fish that's not overly big. Let's chuck him back, because there's more fish moving around here. A bit of breeze is generally good, but out here in this open water, these fish don't seem to be minding it. All right, that's a slightly better brim, and what's really interesting is I fished the edge hard and got a few bites and the odd little thing, but I've come out into the more open water, sort of 50 metres, 100 metres off the bank, and there's a lot more life out here. It makes sense, there's sort of muddy bottom here, marking fish on the side scan there, but you've got that sort of slightly muddy, sandy bottom. It'll be full of prawns, and in this wind and cloudy conditions, these guys are out here just hunting in the open, no problem at all. I'll just pop that hook out of there. There we go. And They're loving this little bender in the bright colour. Well, that's a ton of fun. Brim get heaps bigger than this. Like, this isn't a big fish, but it's so much fun fishing these. Just it's a good bite. You're actively working a lure. Pop these hooks out. When you hold a brim, what I like to do, the front of it down like that with my thumb, and then he's not going to spike you. You pop that hook out. There you go. You sort of got your fingers either side of all of his spikes, even these ones here on his belly fins there. So doing this stuff, you're fishing little lures, it's little hooks that are ultra sharp. One of the fish I've got has literally stretched that point out a bit and it's just knocked the tip off it, and that's because brim have this super hard mouth. So it always pays to have extra bits and pieces in your tackle bag or your box. And there I've got some just little YS25 decoys, just evil sharp treble that fish get caught on all the time. So all I'm going to do is, rather than just try and make do with this hook, is put a new one on, and it will make the difference. So I'll just take that one off and we'll put this little new one on. So yeah, have a few spare trebles, spare split rings, things like that. Brim are really good at wrecking lures because they've got that incredibly strong mouth. There we go. Now we're back in business. You're fishing confidently then too, and that's the key. Got him. It's good when a plan comes together. And I can tell you, it's as much as getting the lure swimming well as in this situation. It was a case that that fish ate something or tried to eat something. I was able to get my lure in there quickly, and just the splash of that lure hitting the water, that fish would have gone, whoa, what's there? Turn straight around. It's just getting a reaction bite. You're hearing a lot of drag going because I'm only fishing 4 pound leader, so I can't pull too hard. That's also why you fish a light rod. It's surprising too, on this style of lure, flathead love them. You know, they'll swim up off the bottom in 2 meters of water to eat these that far under the surface, no problem at all. There we go. There we go. Now, wires. It's actually quite a fat tailor because he's just been munching prawns and bait fish. Pop that hook out. There you go. Probably one of the most super predators for an estuary system. These guys just mow through the bait fish. They get big too, especially when the estuaries close up. They get locked from the sea, and these guys just stay in here just eating and eating and eating, and that's when they get absolutely huge. Let's pop him back. There you have it, a really good fun way to fish in an estuary system. Grab yourself a 76 bender just like this guy or that one there, and as always, when you're buying lures, if you're buying multiple, try and do as I do. Grab a natural looking one and a really bright one, and quite often you'll find one works better than the other on each day. So a couple of these, bit of shallow water, bit of searching, it really gets some great aggressive strikes out of all of your estuary species.